The sun was beating down on me as I walked along the shoreline, the water gently lapping at my feet. I had come down to this secluded beach to get away from it all. The hustle and bustle of the city, the constant noise and crowds. Out here, with the ocean stretching endlessly before me, I felt at peace. I continued walking, enjoying the tranquility. The only sounds were the cries of seagulls overhead and the rhythmic crashing of the waves. After a while, I came across something peculiar lying half buried in the wet sand. Crouching down, I saw it was a bottle with a scroll of paper inside. My curiosity piqued. I pulled it out, uncorked the bottle, and unrolled the parchment. Scrawled on it was a message. "Turn back now, before it's too late." I shuddered. The words gave me an ominous feeling, like a dark premonition. Glancing around, I suddenly felt eyes upon me, though I saw no one else on the deserted beach. The shadows cast by the cliffs and rocks now appeared threatening. Apprehension gripped me, yet I shrugged it off. It was just a hoax, a prank to mess with beachgoers. I walked on, choosing a new direction down the shore. I left the path and began crossing through some large rocks and tide pools. As I navigated around them, I accidentally stepped into a pool. The water only came up to my ankles, but I felt something brush against my leg. Startled, I looked down and caught a brief glimpse of something slithering just under the surface before it disappeared into the rocks. My heart was pounding now. I climbed back onto the open beach, wanting to be as far away from those tide pools as possible. The sandy ground felt unsteady under my feet. I suddenly had the sensation of being watched again. I whipped my head around, scouring the beach. In the distance, I thought I saw a dark figure standing motionless, facing in my direction. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I quickened my pace, but the figure appeared to follow, advancing toward me each time I glanced over my shoulder. My imagination was getting the best of me, I tried telling myself, but the closer it got, the more certain I became that this was no illusion. Panic flooded my body. I broke into a run, fleeing down the beach. I had to get away from that pursuer. My feet flew over the sand. My lungs burned. Daring to look back once more, I saw with horror that it was now sprinting after me. In my haste, I tripped over a piece of driftwood and sprawled onto the sand, scraping my hands and knees. I scrambled up, lurching forward. My heart jumped into my throat as I saw I had landed just meters away from what appeared to be human bones half buried in the shore. Bleached white by sun and sea, the skull grinned up at me. This was no longer a beach. It was a graveyard. I took off again, my mind numb with terror. I had to find help. Blindly, I veered toward the cliffs, hoping to spot someone, anyone who could save me from the evil pursuing me. Then I saw them. Emerging from crevices and caves in the cliff face, humanoid creatures with bulbous black eyes and scaly skin were slithering down the rocks on all fours, converging to block my path. My voice froze in my throat. No sound came out. I wheeled around, but saw my original stalker was now only paces away, reaching for me with webbed claws. This was a trap. There would be no escape. The creatures surrounded me, clawing at my clothes and pulling at my limbs. I thrashed violently, managing to break free for one brief moment. I made a desperate, final dash for the sea, but never made it. The creatures dragged me back and pinned me down in the sand. Helpless, I watched as they produced a blade made of shell, glinting in the sunlight. The last thing I felt was the knife piercing my chest, as the life drained out of me on that cursed beach. I should have heeded the warning. This would be my final resting place, my body left to the tide. The creatures receded back into their ocean lairs, satisfied with their human prey. And I know it is only a matter of time before they will emerge again, hungry and hunting.